Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Let's do an experiment, you and I. Let's go on our phone or the device you use the most and go on any social media platform. Are you a fan of a specific video game, anime, music group, or other piece of fiction? Great! Find the community on that app that was created for that fandom. What do you see? Aw, you see some fan art? Wow, so talented. And then, oh, look at that. You see discussions over the newest update song or episode. Oh, wow. Everyone seems so happy and excited to talk with others about the thing that they oh, what's this? Oh, that's a pretty heated discussion. Don't think that was necessary. Oh, that's a pretty intense take on a character. Wow, very wrong. Oh God, what the fuck is this person talking about? Who thinks like that? Oh, all people who enjoy XYZ are bad people, and here's why based on Freudian theory, a thread? Huh? What? Is this a 1,000 word post calling out this random person in the fandom for being a bad person? Who is this guy? Oh, now we hate the piece of media that we all came here to discuss because it's problematic. Okay, what the hell just happened? My God, I'm exhausted. Are you exhausted? Because my goodness, this is a lot, okay? This was also a pretty step-by-step reenactment of what it was like for me when I first joined the Love and Deep Space fandom on Twitter. It was all love and deep space and fanfiction and fan art and helping one another on fighting tips and talking about how often Silas may shave his chest hair. But the more I scrolled, the more it slowly morphed into this toxic waste zone of like accusations against people's integrity, arguing over in-game content and the morality of some in-game content, and fights within and outside the community based on whatever the new hot take was of the day. But this was just an example of a wider overall culture online when it comes to fandom spaces. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing TikToks of people stating how basic fandom stuff is cringe, such as shipping and cosplaying, and everywhere I turn, a moral argument on the ethics of consuming this type of media versus another is happening. Any situation is looked at with the worst, most pessimistic form of interpretation that at some point it looks like people just want to fight all the time. Hey, look, I am not the first YouTuber to make a video on how internet bad, and I won't be the last, but there is something wrong with modern fandom. It has turned into something so toxic and so hostile that I'm not sure if I actually enjoy being in fandom spaces online anymore. And I've been here since elementary school, but I know I'm not the only one that thinks this. But what happened? How did we get here? Why do online fandom spaces seem so hostile today? Were they ever not hostile? Was it always like this? Is this because of the pandemic? Let's discuss the state of modern day fandom and ask the question, will this ever end, or is this our life now? Is it? Okay, cool. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is E, as in exhausted, or I also put the E in Pleiades because I'm a drow right now. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm gray. I am my OC Pleiades from D&D. She's a drow. This is not drow accurate, by the way. I know, okay? I need my white wig, but she's not here yet, and I need contacts. Okay, with what money? You know what I mean? Like, I need to get prescription colored contacts. Does anybody know where to get some of those that won't cost me an arm and a leg? I digress. And welcome to my channel. And today we are going to not be losing our minds. That's why I'm in drow makeup, because I thought it was fun, and we need the little things right now. So like, f it, be a drow, you know, be an elf. Don't crash out over the modern state of things challenge. Failed already. And with that, please like the video and subscribe, because it really helps me not crash the hell out on a daily basis. And also, I'm a drow, so like, I like threaten people's lives. So I didn't actually threaten your life, but like I vaguely did. So if you want to support the channel even more, then consider becoming a member on the Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/eosocial, to get a shout out at the end of every single video and to see videos like these super duper early. Thank you so much to our Ko-fi members, and let's begin. Ooh, I'm the ghost of E's room, cursed to spend an eternity in this low-key small as heck room. Like, dang girl, you live like this? But being beyond the 6th dimension, yeah, there's like tons more, by the way, will not stop me from telling you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Do you want a website? Do you want it hauntingly beautiful? Well, then just use one of Squarespace's multitude of pre-built layouts that are pre-designed for each and every niche in mind. For blog websites, portfolios, products, contact, and so much more. You can also customize this pre-built layout too by using their fluid engine tools to drag and drop, resize, recolor, and make it your own. Also, if you need some extra brain power to cook up something delicious, then worry not. Squarespace allows you to give permissions to contributors with selective access. If you want your ghostly fiend to only work on the storefront you have, done. For a ghoul to only look at your analytics but touch ne'er else, Squarespace can hook you up easy. Also, yeah, I know it's May. I'm still a ghost year-round. Don't be prejudiced. So do not wait an eternity like me. Sign up for Squarespace today using my link in the description to save 10% off your very first purchase of a website or a domain. And make sure to use my code EISSOCIAL. This is an awesome deal, and I am so stoked to work with Squarespace again on this. I could die. I already did. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and back to haunting this very small 8x8 square or whatever. Bye. Ooh. In a moment, we are going to be talking about all of the crazy that is like becoming commonplace online. But you may be asking first, why are things different now? Like, what changed online fandom culture so much to the point that fandom veterans almost can't recognize it? Well, to put it simply, it was most likely the global pandemic's fault. Yeah, you know, remember that thing? But in my opinion, it's a bit more complex than just that. So a lot of people online, when discussing this shift in the last few years, cite the pandemic as the catalyst for all of these super toxic mindsets to become commonplace. It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, a global instance of everyday life being upended occurred for a few years. So it makes sense that every corner of our life would be affected in one way or the other. But is it true? So the theory is that everyone and their mother, but like literally and not figuratively, ended up flocking to online spaces during a time when pretty much everyone was supposed to be inside in quarantine. And in that time, these people who did not spend a lot of time online started to discover whole worlds and communities thriving on the internet. These people would also be introduced to fandoms in this time period and start realizing, oh shit, there's so much online regarding some of my favorite TV shows and games. This is so awesome. And or these people were influenced into getting into video games, TV shows, K-pop, anime, what have you, and then discovered the fandoms and online communities from there. If this sounds like your experience, then please let me know in the comments. It would be like super interesting to see. But this group of people did not grow up in fandom spaces, or they just enjoyed Twitter and Instagram in their spare time and watched dog videos. I don't know what people without fandoms do online. I'll be so for real. And just had, you know, zero clue when entering these spaces about the pre-existing culture that has been growing and evolving since like the 1970s. So they entered these spaces, right? They saw a lot of cringe and a lot of weird shit and decided to share their thoughts on said cringe and weird shit and made their voices very loud. Thus, with so many new people and people who don't know fandom etiquette showing up online because of the pandemic, leads some fandom veterans to hypothesize that that's the reason why fandom feels so different now and why it may suck big old booty cheeks. I actually agree with this theory to an extent because it makes a lot of sense, and I also witnessed it in real time, but also because I did some numbers research work. Yeah, get into it. I googled. So to get academic with it, as the kids say, I found that social media usage surged by 20% due to the lockdowns in comparison to life before the pandemic. That's a lot, according to this research paper here that has a really long title that I'm not going to read. read, but you can read it on the screen. Also linked below. And this Pew article describes how 90% of Americans claimed the internet was essential in their day-to-day operating lives during the pandemic. The UN stated that an additional 782 million people came in line in just 2 years since 2019. My God. I'm not a scientist, but that sounds like a lot of people. But just because there were more people becoming online in general and use social media more during this time, does it necessarily mean that a huge chunk of those people went to fandom circles, right? Well, I don't know. It just kind of like makes sense, you know, since most of fandom is conducted on social media apps now. But to be frank, I have no idea how to measure if fandom got bigger during this time accurately. But I did notice that on fanlore.com, they document each Tumblr year in review done by the blog Fandometrics, where the top ships, most popular celebs, and most popular fandoms are recorded from that year. In the years leading up to 2020, it seemed pretty chill, with pretty much no forward from the analysts until 2020, when they basically wrote, "Holy shit." So that makes me think that the amount of people engaging with these fandom spaces grew a lot starting in 2020 as the surveys got more and more detailed, but that's also an assumption. But I don't think that the level of toxicity that we are witnessing online is entirely because of the pandemic. I think it's nuanced, like everything is in life. My hypothesis is that it is a mixture of things that the pandemic helped move along. If you were in fandom in like the early 2010s, then you most likely were on or knew about Tumblr or somehow digested Tumblr through screenshots of their text posts being posted on other websites. Secondhand Tumblr, if you will, because arguably Tumblr was the fandom hot zone at that time, along with a few other sites like LiveJournal and personal blogs. Until one day, in December of 2018, when Tumblr made the worst decision, arguably of all time, because Tumblr decided to ban any and all nudity from their platform, and thus, with one stroke, ended its long-standing reign. The Verge wrote that the platform lost about 30% of its total traffic within just 3 months. I'm no data analyst, that's not good though. There was a lot of jokes about female presenting nipples and whether or not if a frog was drawn with female presenting nipples, if that was against TOS. It was very funny. At the time, it was very funny. But also at that time, if you created or consumed NSFW content or you didn't touch that shit at all, you and a lot of others just kind of said, "Fuck this noise," and left. But where did they go? Predominantly, it seems like the most of us went to Twitter. That's what happened with me. And when 2019 and the pandemic rolled around, the younger of new fandom people also went to TikTok, which really took off around that time after it ate Musically and became the giga giant Chad that it is today. So, Twitter and TikTok today appear to be the new hotbeds for accessing fandom circles and discourse. Now, this is the part where it gets bad. As we know, I'm gonna say this with kind words, Twitter is in the shitter, LOL, because of elongated muskrat. Rage bait is the main form of content on that damn site, since people are now incentivized with money to piss people off. I don't know if y'all know this, but anger is a strong emotion, and that leads to more engagement on your post, which leads to like, what, $5 if you have a blue check mark? So it is no wonder that whenever you go on Twitter, you always see fighting and bad takes, or you look at the replies on a hit tweet and they're being mean, or they're stirring up shit, or it's the same few people on every single post. And most of the time you leave the app feeling like frustrated or super irritated. Am I the only one? Don't look at the other side of my hand. Blue check marks, or the people who are everywhere stirring up shit to make $3.50 aren't the only ones creating a hostile place on the platform. But that culture of toxicity seemed to have spread and amplified and ramped the up to everybody in every community, fandom being no exception. Now, hold on. I am not saying that Twitter was like a paradise before 2020 or before elongivitis took over, but if it was then today, it's like if grew wings of diarrhea and started flying around, leaving chemtrails of piss in its wake. You know what the situation is just like? It is exactly like that episode in The Sandman, stream The Sandman by the way, where normal people are just living their lives, going to or working at a diner. They have their own petty issues and toxicity with each other in a very normal fashion until this ass shows up, reveals everyone's true nature, but like to the extreme, to the point where they start hacking each other's fingers and limbs off, and everyone's dead at the end of it. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, there were lesbians in there and there were gay men in there. Oh my god, there was so many queer people in that show. Love. Anyways, like, am I wrong? It's the exact same thing. Those people in the diner wouldn't have killed each other if it wasn't for this face in pajama pants. TikTok, no exception, still toxic on that platform, but it also has an algorithm that really changed a lot, that also led to people being only shown what they agree with or like in the form of the For You page, which in turn leads to insane echo chambers and the what about meism, where users will see the proverbial how to make bean soup recipe video, and half the comments are, what if you don't like beans? This video is on my For You page, but it's not for me? I don't like beans. What the fuck? This is a moral failing of the original poster. This is so exclusionary. Don't know why you're British, sorry. This mindset absolutely existed before TikTok, but again, I feel like it's been amplified to the extreme just with how many people are on these apps now. So this recipe of everyone flocking to the internet during COVID and going to apps like Twitter and TikTok, which are way too big for their own good, led people to what we are witnessing today in fandom spaces. Constant fighting, bullying, extreme instances of what about meism, a total disregard for fandom etiquette, and so on and so forth. I am like 90% sure my theory of what caused modern day fandom to be so awful is correct. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like, it just sounds right? But also to like be exact, I feel like I would, you know, need to be a professional analyst, and I'm not. So source, trust me, bro. But I wanted to hear more from you guys and to get more opinions on this matter, so I put out another Google form. I love when this happens, where I asked you, the rats, how you feel about fandom pre-2020 and post-2020. And oh my god, an overwhelming majority of you guys said that internet fandom post-2020 has been a dumpster fire. Were my questions leading? Maybe, but a lot of you, not super surprisingly, already reflected what I was thinking about and mulling over before, you know, writing this video. And this relatively smaller batch of people could represent a larger whole who feel the same way. But more on that Google form later. Also, I wanted to say that this video is inspired by Fish, the masses will know, where I had a different Google form where I asked what you guys want me to talk about, and this was one of the topics, and I was like, real. So, thank you, Fish. But when I say modern fandom is what do I really mean exactly? Like, what the hell is happening? The better question is, what the hell isn't happening in modern fandom spaces? I honestly found it like pretty hard to start this part of the video because there's just so much to discuss and there's so many layers to it, and it's difficult to break everything down to a neat little part 2. So I guess we should start by giving some broad categories and some examples therein. So here are 3 of the overall types of trends that are like pretty common in fandom spaces these days. We have morality, content, or fandom policing. We have a lack of fandom etiquette or understanding of fandom culture. And of course, the discourse epidemic, which I am guilty of. I'm going to be talking about these trends pretty loosely as there's just too much to get into for each one of them, and also they sometimes blend into each other, so just keep those topics in your noggin as we move forth. So the first phenomenon, lack of fandom etiquette or understanding of fandom culture. These days, post 2020, there seems to be a lot of rejections, or a lot more rejections of things that were pretty commonplace or like staples of fandom culture, predominantly prior to 2020. This can be shown in young people or new fandom members going on TikTok, for example, and calling shipping cringe or liking bad guys cringe, or even finding self-insert fanfiction to be weird. Look, shipping and being cringe is a big part of fandom. It honestly is at the root of fandom coming into being as we know it today. But what is shipping if you don't know? Shipping is the act of wanting two characters in a piece of media to be together romantically. And you can convey your love for a ship through fan art, fan fiction, discussion posts, what have you. Shipping can also occur between real people, so some musical group stands may ship the members together, for example. But the act of shipping is a huge part of fandom culture, and it is one of the trademarks of it. People may ship two characters together that are canon or that are a confirmed pairing in the source material, and some people ship ships that are completely not canon in the source material at all. Some people even ship two characters together that might have never ever even interacted in the source material. There was a whole trend where people shipped Elsa from Frozen and Jack Frost from that Guardians movie, and like, hell yeah, dude. Yes, just another day being in fandom. Like, I'm pretty sure it was kind of like satirical, but also, y'all were cooking. People also create original characters or OCs. And these people might ship their OCs with pre-existing characters in their fandom. The way I ship my OC Pleiades with Gale Decarios from Baldur's Gate 3. Whoa, I'm talking about myself right now! Sometimes, to get a little spicy, people may ship a character with itself. It's called self-cest, and it has a lot of discourse for some reason. Fandom is also insanely queer, so the vast majority of ships are queer themselves. If you want to know more about the history of shipping culture, then check out this video here, where I talk about that. But I lay this all out because in recent years, I have seen a lot of judging from why would anyone ship two characters that never interacted with each other, to why is everything gay? Why can't these two guys be friends? To judging self-insert fics, to judging shipping in general. It's honestly kind of ludicrous to me to see posts like this one trying to denormalize shipping rare pairs when it's like, girl, where did you come from? We have been shipping characters that weren't canon or could never be canon since forever ago, since the Star Trek fandom, where Kirk and Spock were shipped all the damn time, and that was the fandom that originated fandom culture as we know it today. The first slash fic comes from that fandom. There's so much history there. This is the ancient Jedi texts that we are talking about here. Like, we have been shipping non-canon pairings since the Ice Age. Girl, where have you been? Who are you? Okay? Again, if you want to know more about the history of shipping, check out this video right here where I talk more about how important Star Trek was and how important the X-Files were to shipping and to modern day fandom as we know it. So these traditions have been around before the internet. So judging the sacred act of shipping non-canon pairings as cringe is insane to me. Like, it's just crazy. Look at it like this. Shipping, whether it be shipping canon pairings or yourself with a character, is not like integral to a fandom experience per se. Like, you do not have to ship characters at all if you don't want to, but it is important to recognize how huge shipping is to the overall fandom experience and culture. Like, sure, when you go to the beach, you don't have to get in the ocean to have fun. Like, there's plenty of other stuff to do at the beach, like make sandcastles, sunbathe, read a book, etc. But people very often go to the beach to get in the ocean. So it's kind of silly to go to the beach and be like, why are these freaks in the water? Ew, why are they paddleboarding? What the can we denormalize body surfing, please? Girl, you're at the beach! What did you expect to witness when you went to the beach? Same with shipping. It's so weird. It's so weird to enter a fandom and then question, why is everyone so obsessed with shipping? Girl, you're in a fandom. What did you expect? Why does everybody want to ship gay people all the time? You're in the Steven Universe fandom. Why does everything have to be gay? You're watching Arcane. Like, why are you so surprised? The first slash fanfiction was between men, was between Kirk and Spock getting it on. This rejection of customs that have been like a staple of fandom culture since the beginning, it seems like it's happening more and more, and it's just weird. It's just so weird to me. It just blows me away. So like, when you go to to the supermarket and see fruits, don't get scared. You know what I'm saying? Like, relax. If you don't like shipping, don't engage with it. In addition to all of that, I have also witnessed a shift in fandom interactions where fans see fanfics and fan art as content now, or something to consume and demand. Art from fans is a fun pastime, and it's a labor of love that should not be an expectation for fan artists, cosplayers, writers to produce content for you. People taking times out of their day to share their art with us free, in my eyes, is a privilege, not a necessity. I think way more people in fandom these days would rather engage in discourse and yap than like produce fun stuff with their friends because they enjoy it. I feel like back in the day, sharing edits with each other, sharing fan fiction with each other, sharing fan art with each other, it was just like, I love this piece of media so much, I have to like do something with it, I have to like create something for it, as opposed to, I don't know, like seeing it as content that needs to be produced. So all of this is kind of like an understanding of fandom culture that people lack, which in turn leads to a lack of understanding of fandom etiquette too. And what is fandom etiquette? Well, part of fandom etiquette was usually just saying like, live and let live, to each their own. Because in my day, fandom etiquette was generally enforced through the tagging system in whatever platform you used. People would usually tag the art they made or the fics they wrote, and those that didn't want to see those types of art would not follow those tags on Tumblr or look up those tags on AO3 or engage in that content at all. Of course, there were still ship wars and debates and debacles, but usually, generally, from what I experienced, people kept to their own circles and kept to their own tags and generally only engaged with the stuff that they wanted to. Today, couldn't be further from the truth, babe. Back then, in the height of Tumblr and personal blogs and life journal, all that stuff, you would go to the blogs or the tags that you wanted to interact with. Nowadays, it's more just a hodgepodge of bull 24/7, constantly swishing around on the few apps that everyone interacts on. It's not a minority interacting with each other on some obscure internet forum. It's the entire world on like 4 apps, and we see everything and we see everyone. So now, a lot of normal or non-online people are online and they see everything. They see the cringe, they see the ugly, and they have opinions, which everyone's entitled to, I guess. Some are revolted by some of the weird that they see when they had no idea that they were entering weird kid zones. This led to disregarding or never learning fandom etiquette, which is to just not engage with the stuff you don't like. This paired with this rising tide of conservatism washing over everywhere, the bullying started to happen more and more, which leads us to the morality or content or fandom policing online epidemic. I've touched on this topic of morality and fandom policing online in my video on, fandom policing here. And back then, which was like a year ago, I was just entering my fandom essay era and knew that I was witnessing something very weird online that was different, but I admit that I lacked the true full understanding, or I lacked the full ability to convey my thoughts clearly that I now possess more of today. It is still a great video and I recommend watching it for more examples and more detailed examples of what I'm talking about today, and also to see the progression of thinking that has occurred over the past year. So essentially what is happening in abundance today, and something that I think is one of the biggest issues with modern fandom and why it's so exhausting, is this constant policing and censoring of each other. It's this epidemic of morality and of who can be a better person contest that is infested with elements of conservatism and purity culture. To an extent, some of the policing that we do to each other online isn't some sort of progressive activism that some people think it is, but it just circles right back around. It's so far left that it turns radically right. A really good example of what I'm talking about is this post saying that girls who only stan boy groups are so misogynistic, but what do you expect from dumb, stupid women? Fans want like cool, new, interesting works of fiction, but not too new or too dark or too taboo. You can't make any TV show or video game or fan fiction that deals with weird, dark, taboo up shit, because people view depiction as endorsement. Oh, this video game has incest in it? Then the creator supports incest, and everyone who plays it are incest freaks, which completely ignores the fact that this hypothetical game makes it pretty abundantly clear that the characters are bad people. They're horrible, bad people, and it's viewed and portrayed in a pretty gross way. But no, because incest is in the game, it immediately means this game is morally corrupt, and y'all are freaks. You cannot miss a conversation, no matter what fandom you are in, of someone calling every person who ships this ship a bad or morally corrupt person. Fans call other fans abuse supporters if they ship Furina and Arlecchino from Genshin Impact because one was a little mean to the other one. This ship is sibling coded. You can't ship them is not a new argument, but it's a lot more prevalent these days. If one shipper hates another ship that's not their own, as opposed to just saying, I don't like Javik from Arcane, people will find some moral excuse to hate it. So they feel better about themselves, like, oh, I hate Riolet from Genshin Impact because it's technically grooming if you look at it from this angle. Or I hate Kate V because it's giving police brutality and unfair power dynamics. You see posts people saying that if you like this fanfic trope, then you probably have daddy issues, or equating liking certain genres of books to entire personalities as like a new weird version of horoscopes. It's very much a sentiment of you are what you eat. Whatever you consume in fiction is what you believe in real life. In the fandom, you have this evil character in a video game like Jimmy from Mouthwashing, who, dare I say, is genuinely one of the worst pieces of shit and awful characters that I have ever come across. Like, kudos to the writer. Bro sucks. But some fans like him as a character and will get sent death threats over it. People are sometimes outed online as insert character name here apologists if they like a fictional character that like did something horrible and killed or tortured a bunch of people. Mass doxing campaigns are not rare, and they run to dox and expose fan artists for drawing a ship that is sibling coded. Even though the characters aren't like related by blood, there still is something like weird going on there, so you're morally corrupt for shipping these two characters. Just like the Kailuk Genshin Impact phenomenon. That's a long story. People are sent death threats and literally get mass bullied because they follow an artist online that makes weird taboo stuff. If you are a girl that ships guy characters together too much, or you read too much boys love, then you are a disgusting fujoshi. But what can we expect from dumb, stupid women? These are usually all ideals held by antis or anti-shippers, which is a growing culture online that is very particular over what kind of fiction should or should not exist, or should not be consumed or enjoyed. It is like a morality contest every day, and it's just tiring. From what I understand, pro shippers are just people who are like, you can ship whatever you want in fiction, I don't care. I don't want to be called either of them. I don't like any of you guys. I think we're taking this all a little too seriously. But let me give you a more concrete example. On Tumblr, during the height of Supernatural's fandom peak, y'all remember that show? A pretty popular ship within the fandom was Wincest, the ship between Sam and Dean Winchester. You know, the blood-related brothers? Hey, look, I was huge on Supernatural during this time, and part of my personality at that time, it was insane, and I was a huge Destiel enjoyer myself, Dean and Cass forever, and I heard about Wincest, but I actually never saw, like, any Wincest art on my Tumblr feed, because I just never engaged with that ship. Like, I simply just never followed or engaged with that tag, and from what I understand, it was, like, pretty prevalent. Like, people just liked shipping the brothers together. It weirded me out when I heard about it, and it still weirds me out to this day because I know the characters so well, and that just aches me out. But I never saw it. Like, I just never saw that content. But now it's not that simple. Apps like Twitter don't really have that level of tagging system to it. You are kind of just constantly fed things through the algorithm, and things very easily blend with each other, and sometimes you don't want to see gets fed to you. This This does not lend itself well to practicing good fandom etiquette. This leads to people maybe seeing taboo ships and getting grossed out over it. But it's been extremely radicalized today. It's no longer having a reaction of mild disgust. It's a full-on reaction of violence, and it's something that I've talked about before on the channel, and it's something that I'm actually concerned about just because of how radicalized it is. So if Supernatural, the hit CW show, was huge today, oh my god, that would be crazy. Oh my god, it would be insane. Wincest would be villainized. Friends would stop being friends with someone if they found out that they shipped Wincest. Mass doxing campaigns would happen to Wincest fan artists, and death threats would be sent in droves to Wincest fanfiction writers. Back before the explosion of fandom, Wincest enjoyers just hung out with each other, and people like me, Destiel enjoyers, would just interact with each other too. When I first heard about it, I went, ew, okay, alright, not for me. Sorry, I really don't like it. But I would never, in my life, when presented with a Wincest supporter, would I ever track down their entire internet history and presence just to find dirt on them to prove my point that all Wincest enjoyers are f***ed in the head. Like, I've never seen that be so common before this explosion of fandom. We have expose threads of people following this one artist or following this one ship or enjoying this one ship. The whole internet presence will just be completely explored just to find some dirt just so we can excuse our hatred for them. Sure, you know, pre this explosion, there were ship wars all the time, and there were arguments when two sides of a ship overlapped. But from what I saw, no anti-Wincest people made exposing threads of Wincest fans trying to expose them to be a bad person in mass. I am sure there were a few pioneers back in their day, but never to this extreme. I really point this out and tie this to this rising tide of conservatism and purity culture that leads to such drastic reactions to anything that isn't pure or wholesome. And I understand that people dislike when I and others use the term purity culture because, historically speaking, purity culture was very extreme and caused a lot of pain for women. And it's a very strong word and phrase to refer to. To an extent, it is kind of silly to equate such a thing to fandom squabbles, but it is not incorrect to state that what is happening now stems from purity culture talking points and ideas. People have crazy reactions when a gacha character shows skin in a video game and calls everything with some sexual allure to it as gooner and bad and pervs and gross. You know, being very anti-sexuality and anti anything that isn't pure and wholesome. No taboo ship can be shipped. No game or movie that has dark material in it can be enjoyed without it reflecting on you as a person. And you are morally corrupt for enjoying anything that isn't sunshine, rainbows, and bubblegum, you know? It's very conservative. It's very witch trials. It's very sex pest. It's very anti-everything. But of course, if you're like under 18, yeah, don't interact with adult content. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, yeah, weird art should exist. But I know for a fact that I'm going to be taken out of context, and I know in my heart, in my soul of souls, that this portion of the video where I talk about fandom policing will be purposefully misinterpreted and seen in like the worst light imaginable. People will find some way to twist the words that I'm saying into something like really gross and really bad and really disgusting, but like it is what it is, you know. I can't do anything about that because that is just the culture now. There is no benefit of the doubt. There's no optimistic or nice way of viewing stuff. It's always the worst possible outcome or the worst possible interpretation people will look to have. I like pancakes. Oh, so you hate waffles then? No, that's a whole different sentence. It's very much that meme, okay? That's the culture. I will have comments, I assure you, of people saying that I want to corrupt children with like evil up or I'm a pro shipper. Please leave me alone. I don't want to get any of those terms. Or like give me worse allegations than that because I tell people to mind their own business online. I am not a taboo enjoyer. I do not seek media with very strange, dark, and up fiction. I do not indulge in that side of the internet because some of that content makes me very uncomfortable. But I also don't want to tell those people that they're all creeps and freaks and send them death threats and parade over how good of a person I am after sending a person death threats over something fictional. The reason why this whole thing bothers me so much, it's not because it's super toxic and it makes the fandom environment just not fun to be in anymore, because every little thing is found the worst of in anything, to the point where you can ship two consenting adults in a piece of fiction, but because their relationship is kind of like brother-sister or like kind of familial, though like nothing is blood related or whatever, people will call it sibling coded and will call you a bad person because of it. Like, it leads to that level of extremity that I find very concerning. I don't think extremity in any situation is good. Radicalization, I do not believe is a good thing, no matter in what direction it goes. And this is beyond fandom squabbles. I've said this before in previous videos, and I will say it again till the day I die. This is a problem, not because I want people to be freaks or whatever. It's because this is a really real issue, especially present day, of censorship. It's not a good thing that we have young people on the internet trying to censor and stop art from being created. That's not a good thing. Censorship in any way, not a good thing. We are reinforcing these like conservative ideals, but more on that point a little bit later. I just don't understand why we are so goddamn angry all the time. Now, I keep saying back in my day, this, and this, but was it really better before COVID? Like, were fandom spaces any less toxic than they are today? Like, are we just looking at the past through rose-colored lenses? The answer is yes and no. I mean, for example, the absolute insanity of the Voltron fandom, where people were mass harassed for shipping some ship that some people argued were sibling coded between the Voltron characters. That whole thing happened before the pandemic, so this has happened before. So I'm not saying all of this is like exclusive to modern day fandom, but modern day fandom is more toxic than pre-2020 due to the fact of how big it is today. It's so big. There are so many people now, so it's just more rampant. There were ship wars, and there were mean people and doxing and death threats over silly shit before in the days of old, but it was not so frequent and not so huge. I asked all of you in the Google forum if you feel like fandom is different these days. And as I said earlier, the overwhelming majority of you said, yeah, it feels a lot less chill now. As you see, many responses point out how the bullying and toxicity existed before, but just got much worse and much more frequent. And one poster talks about how they're kind of scared to even interact with fandom anymore. One poster recounted a famous moment in the Bungo Stray Dogs fandom, which is an anime by the way, regarding an NSFW food play fic between two characters, and someone made fun of it on TikTok, and of course that TikTok blew the up to the point where there were so many comments on the original fic on AO3 of people talking about how traumatizing the fic was. This is such a good example of what I've been talking about this whole video, because there's no algorithm on AO3. It is built just as God intended. It's just tagged stuff that you will not find unless you look up those tags or you look up that content. And yet, people went out of their way to find something with content that they don't want to read, that was NSFW and raunchy and a little taboo, just to say how traumatizing it was and like make fun of it. Like, that is exactly what the problem is. We're not respecting fandom etiquette. And of course it was an NSFW fic because people are very weird about NSFW weird stuff existing. Again, if you're a minor, don't interact with that stuff, obviously. This is a really good point, and I don't know who put it like this, forgive me. I saw this post and I cannot find it for the life of me. But someone said somewhere that they think that the pandemic caused the normies to enter weird kid spaces, and then got freaked out when they saw the weird kids being weird. Again, I want to stress that there are a lot of things, and there are a lot of types of fictions that freak me out, give me the ick, or make me super insanely uncomfortable. Just like with Wincest, but I would never go out of my way to find a Wincest tag on AO3 to read fanfiction of it and make myself uncomfortable, and then harass that person in their comments over it. I believe as long as no one's being actively hurt, then there does come a time when you have to say it isn't that serious. Because very often in our crusade to stop someone from being weird with fiction, we end up hurting real life people in censoring art. If we continue making it normal to censor each other based on art and fiction, then hey, to put it very bluntly, guess who's helping fascism grow? Guess who's aiding fascists? Guess who's helping dictators? Very not fun fact, the first thing a dictator targets when seizing power is, that's right, the arts. They very usually start by putting some moral reasoning behind why certain types of art shouldn't be made. And queer art is usually number one on that list. That is true, by the way. Dictators go after the arts first, and they very usually pit their citizens against each other, where there's a lot of, tattletaling on each other. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from some weird ass place. I'm watching the news and I'm seeing the same hateful rhetoric in the spaces that used to be safe for me. And people on my channel have heard that before, have heard me say this before, and I'm just gonna keep saying it because genuinely it scares me. It scares me seeing young people act like this. My conclusion to all of this is that I'm tired. I'm tired of the constant fighting, of the morality contests, and the thought pieces, and the ethical discussions surrounding Cookie Run Kingdom. I'm just tired of watching fandom and queer people, because a large part of fandom is made up of queer people, eat themselves alive. And the problems range from new people coming in and saying how cringe shipping is and can we please stop shipping non-canon pairings anymore, to making it genuinely an unsafe place for all of the weird kids who use fandom spaces to get away from the mean kids in their lives. Sorry, I didn't mean to make this video kind of heavy towards the end. I've already done that in past videos. I don't mean to make it heavy in this one, but again, I just think it's a really important message and I want to get it across to people because I just think now more than ever we need to hear it some more. So yeah, hey, if you are just finding fandom or you found it super recently in this new era of the internet, then do not get me wrong, I truly and passionately welcome you. Like, yes, fandom's amazing. Without fandom, I don't know who I'd be today. Genuinely, fandom has been such an important part of my life. And it's been such a joy being able to share and explore and indulge in my favorite TV shows and indulge in the love I have for my favorite video games or favorite anime or whatever. Like, that changed my life. Fandom is so important to me. And I want that same joy for you too. Let's talk about Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen and how hot that man is. Let's fucking do it. Let's be cringe. That is such a joy. That is such a freedom to that. And I want that for you too. I welcome you, girl. It's just as long as you're respectful, I want you to block the people you dislike. I want you to make friends and I want you to cringe the fuck out together and make art of you and your favorite character kiss it. And then make like old man yaoi out of the cookies from Cookie Run Kingdom. I don't know what y'all do. I welcome any and everyone to fandom. Just don't be a kid. Those are my final words on that subject. Anyways, what do you think about fandom right now? Is it in the shit right now, or are you just like not noticing anything and you're just like big chillin'? What is your take on people disliking shipping? What is your take on this weird like fandom policing conservative wave that is just intense? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In the comment sections on my channel, we always have such fruitful discussions and you guys are very erudite and very respectful. So just be respectful with each other and have civil conversations, and that is all I ask. Again, I have talked more on this act of fandom policing in this video here, and also I did a video on Kailuk from Genshin Impact that is very controversial and has a lot of discourse around it, so definitely go watch that if you are aware of that situation. I definitely think it's also an important message to talk about. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm a drow, and because I also make a lot of fandom content, so stick around for more, because we also hit like 75,000 subscribers, which is like crazy to me, a little bit ago, and I think it would be super cool if we could hit 100k by like the end of the summer. Like, that would be so sick. So please follow. I would love to hit 100k and grow our little rat sewer family even more. Please, that would be really, really cool. So thank you in advance. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, then please become a member on the Ko-fi. Ko-fi.com/easocial, where for just $5 a month, you are not only supporting me, but you will also be able to see slayful videos like these super duper early, and you get a shout out at the end of every single video. So take it away, future me, for thanking our amazing Ko-fi members. Hi, yeah, don't ask, by the way. Don't ask about the makeup, please. I was filming a skit for something else and these were tentacles. I'm supposed to be like a squid. I'm sorry. But that's not gonna stop me from thanking our amazing coffee members. So, thank you so very much to Alien Eyes, Jonah, Lewandrill, Joanne, Moon, Blue X Crystal, Summers, Blue Ink Alchemist, Pauline, Shalami, Onyxide, Atticus, IK, Pierre Burner, Selkable, Haley Robinson, Ray Fields, Zandella, Bus Driver, Wokapi, Blurry, Klee, Pandas Bombas, Friendly Fire, Decals, Kiara, Tranella, Witch Tara, Basil Stanley, and Moe. Thank you guys so much for the support. It means the absolute world, and I'm so sorry for this. Bye. Follow my socials. I am EASocial everywhere except on Twitter because I don't have one anymore. I am on Blue Sky. If you want to game and cringe out with us in real time, then join us on twitch.tv/EASocial where we game. Anyways, that is it from me. So if I don't see you on Twitch, then I'll see you in the next one. Okay. Bye. You saw my undrowed hand. Don't tell anyone. Okay, bye. Was between Spurg and Cock? Did I say Cock?